I truly believe in gold as a monetary asset, not as a keepsake, not necessarily as a speculative plaything, although to be sure it does serve that function as well. But I believe in it as as money that will, if not supplant, then at least will keep company with present day paper currency.
So you mentioned the Fed cutting rates, in September with GDP at 3.1 and the dollar strong, etc. The Fed saw fit to begin to cut rates, pretty aggressive 50 basis point cut, and then cut rates 100 basis points in 3 months. And since then, 10-year yields at one point in mid-January were up 120 basis points from first cut. So Goldman Sachs informs us that that is the steepest increase in long rates ever following an initial Fed rate cut. What do you think that's signaling?
Could be a lot of things. One of the things it might signal is the world's mounting doubts about the quality of the public credit of the United States. And, there's all sorts of signs of difficulties. Nothing we can't surmount, but the public credit has been an object of studied neglect over the course of many administrations, and it doesn't take care of itself. And by public credit, I mean the capacity of the government to service its debts in good money. And the Federal Reserve is focused on other things, perhaps, than that humble but essential project. As recently as 2020, it was Jackson Hole, a virtual Jackson Hole, that was saying we must compensate for shortfalls in inflation with a little bit more inflation in the years that follow the deficit. You said, wow, most extraordinary thing here. I couldn't believe it then. I still can't believe it now. So lest we forget, the Fed has committed to creating inflation. Mm-hmm. A rate of about 2%. So that's the baseline. That's like a tax. And but anyway, the Fed has announced its intention to inflate, and it's announced indirectly its intention not to press the last mile, as it were, to get inflation rate back to 2%. And so, what if this the first Trump 3 weeks, which, by the way, resembles nothing so much as the New Deal's 100 days in its sheer confusion and disorientation that is created among the people. 1933, the left was jubilant and saying, "See, we told you," and the right's hair was on fire. Now it's kind of reversed that. And, people were shouting at Roosevelt that he was doing unconstitutional things, and indeed many of them were found unconstitutional. So I am going off on this tangent to the cost of the question you asked about 15 minutes ago, Trey. Mm-hmm. But what did you want to know?
I think it's fair to say that for me, the Fed's credibility.
Yes.
The final straw for me was Chair Powell's $1.4 trillion of QE in 2021 when CPI was heading from 5 to 7 and GDP was 6 and unemployment had fallen from 14.8 to 5. And yet, we plowed through that 1.4 trillion and we called it transitory. And so, and Chair Powell made it even worse by joking about it at Jackson Hole recently, calling it the good ship transitory. My question to you is: you move around in the rarefied air of New York at the top echelons of managed money and that type. Is the investing institutional public, are they, does Fed credibility still run there?
Well, thank you for the compliment. I must say that I'm rather more marginalized than that would suggest. But to observe and to read and to listen, I would think the Fed is remarkable in the way it's retained its credibility.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Fed is actually broke. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you look at the operating losses, which are now, I guess, 200 billion. I think probably capital is 43 billion. This is not mark to market, by the way. This is operating losses. And the numbers turn up every Thursday afternoon at 4:30 in the H41 form. And you might think that striking fact would be a subject at least of discussion, but the Wall Street Journal was in touch with a 10-foot pole. So not to leave that hanging, the Fed is not operationally broke despite its operating losses because it has a chit with the Treasury. And this is the same Treasury from which it is nominally 100% independent. It's not. But is the Fed? You know, I have begun in my advanced age to feel a little bit more sympathy with the Fed. I'm going to rags on them, get all this free advice from grants. But you know, it's their own fault because of the remit they have embraced, and you know, they give us guidance, forward guidance. What? No, you know, you can be 6 months on Wall Street, and you would learn never to give the date and the price on any forecast, and they can't seem to follow that simple rule for survival. We had a conference last fall, and Stan Druckenmiller said that what he criticized about the 50 basis points was not necessarily the call, because who knows, you know, the economy could be following the Trey Reik Austrian model, and it could be about ready to roll over. But what he found inexplicable was the poverty of the risk management. You know, they didn't have to go to 50. They could have gone to 25 and see how the election turned out, and done more, peeled back, waited for the animal spirits to reemerge if Trump won. That would be a different thing altogether, but no 50. So you wonder about the current issue of grants, which I guess you've not seen. It's called, the page one piece is called The Question of Judgment. And we review the extraordinary things that have been happening under the first 3 weeks of, a little more than that now, of Trump. The president, I just heard from the president today. He's selling a second term Trump executive order pen. And I must say, Trey, that I reckon him to be the most venal president in the annals of presidencies. I'm trying to think who else would have issued some meme coin on the very eve of his inauguration.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So the purpose there is not so much to heap my disapprobation on presidents number 45 and 47. I voted for the guy 3 times, never happily on any of the 3 occasions. I don't want to do that. So I simply want to observe that a president who can exhibit the kind of questionable judgment that meme coin took, who has withheld or ordered suspended the executive order protection against Mike Pompeo and John Bolton, because although Iran has issued death threats credible death threats against both, he doesn't want them protected because they said things that he didn't much like against Donald Trump. So he has established a motto culture in the White House. And maybe they're going to do a Bitcoin reserve. Maybe they're going to do a sovereign wealth fund filled with Bitcoin. But I think these things, I don't condemn everything he's done. But that's not the point either. The point is that enough things that he has done fly in the face of bipartisan, nonpartisan reckoning of presidential judgment, good judgment, as to call into question what he will do next. He may say anything and do anything. And if that's the case, then all sorts of tail, tail the distribution tail possibilities open themselves up, and you have to protect yourself, right? If he is not going to be circumspect, says Grant's interest rate observer, then it falls to the individual investor to become rather more circumspect. It's just for survival and possibly profit. But I think this is going to be a bull market in circumspection. This just seem like you're a coward and that good things are going to happen to you.
Well, in 2024, obviously stocks were up 25%, second year of plus 20% performance for only the fourth time in 150 years. So little bit surprising that with the dollar, at 2-year highs and 10-year yields up 18% last year, stock market strong, that gold outperformed everything, being up 27%.
Yeah, it's all surprising. Yeah.
And, do you think we're at the big one for gold in terms of, moving, say, up past 3,000? And
yeah. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so I called up Bill Fleckenstein last week, say end of the week, and I said, "This wig's be out." As the inventor of gold, I've been around for what the crypto thieves call rug pulls. Lucy, would you hold this football, please? I'm practicing my place kicking. And this stuff can break your heart. I mean, 2011, I thought for sure that with the U.S. becoming a split-rated credit, we would have thought that was going to be a possibility. That the world had at last figured out that the United States was running into fiscal difficulties brought on by itself, and that gold was in the way of becoming a monetary asset in the way it had not been since it was marginalized through malicious intent, say I, in the 60s and 70s. And then what you got is a bear market to rip your face off. These gold stocks, some were down 99%, right? That's the good ones. And
I remember the time.
It's vividly, I suppose, for some of us. So, I said to Bill, we have to get hedged here. And, he said, yeah, we got it. And I don't know what Bill did. I dare say he's a professional investor. I am certainly not. I'm a professional author and writer. But what I did was to not get hedged because I thought, first of all, I just didn't get around to it, meaning that something in my subconscious didn't want to. Why is that? Well, I believe in gold as a monetary asset. I believe that the mere talk of the mobilization of what lies in Fort Knox, the somewhat playful, be careful about Musk, because remember the rug pulls he pulled on his fan base when he was cited in Night Live and got them all long Dogecoin, then said, I don't care anymore. People are ruined with that. So I tried to abstract from Elon Musk saying what exactly is in Fort Knox. I tried to abstract from all that, but focus on the fact that the most elegant, functional, and efficient and equitable monetary system in the world was the gold standard, which ended by phases starting in 1914, supplanted by a system that is incredibly complex. At one point in 2021 and 22 was predicated on the fact at the Fed that inflation is caused by expectations. That was the ruling regime when they got onto the transitory inflation bandwagon. So now we have we have the PhD standard, which is governed by very intelligent people mobilizing the mathematical models they mastered in graduate degree programs, and so it's gone from elegant, um, efficient simplicity to a most inelegant, complex, I would say, inefficiency. So I truly believe in gold as a monetary asset, not as a keepsake, not necessarily as a speculative plaything, although to be sure it does serve that function as well. But I believe in it as as money that will, if not supplant, then at least will keep company with present day paper currency, not because Grant's Interest Rate Observer or Trey Reik, both very persuasive fellows, say you really must do this, but because, like all monetary evolutions, it occurs to people spontaneously. So Bitcoin, what Bitcoin has going for it is that people have come to it, that it serves some function. The people of the world think it's great. So I think the most efficient price of Bitcoin is zero. However, I respect the judgment of people en masse when it comes to money. If they say it's money, they're willing to accept it. Well, yeah, all right.
In the eyes of the beholder.
Yeah, but here we have something with 5,000 years of recorded of use case, and so anyway, so I guess does that describe a permeable trade?
But I was focused a little bit more on gold's action recently, which I must admit has been as consistent, I think, as I could have imagined. I might even say I've been a bit surprised by its resilience, but gold
Okay.
definitely sending a different signal than.
Oh yeah, you should wake up in the morning and if it had been up in Asia overnight, it was going to be down $20 in New York. That was as certain as could be. It was just as frustrating as could be, and now it's entirely different. Entirely
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what emphasis to lay on market action. My old mentor at Barron's, whom I love dearly, Robert M. Bleiber. Remember him? Remember Barron's in the old days?
Sure.
I learned so much from him, and he was a great student of market action and market structure. And I dare say that he might have learned a few things from you, Trey. I love your last piece, which talked about structure and expectation and sentiment. But all these things seem to have definitely, and what might be even more bullish is the fact that none of the attributes of a forming speculative bubble in gold have yet seemed to exhibit themselves in the American investing public. Right? You don't see it in the in ounces in GLD. You don't see it certainly in in in, uh, in speculative sentiment, or at least of all in the miners. They're still GDX is still at what 41, 42, where it's been forever. And
Right.
that was forever. It has not acted as if gold were at highs. Let me put it that way. It's really
Right.
yeah. So the things that in the past told you that things were a little bit getting out of hand, nothing like that now.
I think that in our next meeting, we'll be talking about gold shares because, the GDX was up 44% in mid-October. We forget that. And it closed the year up only 10% versus gold's 27. So obviously there's a disconnect there. I have a theory that rising real rates now sort of pass through gold and hit the miners harder than the metal. And the Trump reaction is now behind us. So I truly believe that in the next 6 months, if gold stays in this range, I think the gold stocks are going to have a very strong period. Do you agree with that?
Yep. No, I don't doubt that. Yeah.
No. So I think that's what's coming. That'll be fun to watch. Jim, I appreciate your taking the time to visit with us. Always interesting and great to hear your voice. And best of luck here in the first part of the year. We look forward to reading the next grants, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Well, you're entirely welcome, Trey. I want to return your rather extravagant compliment towards grants, but this is from the heart and the mind of the Bristol Gold Group. And I believe I'm talking to one of the leading partners of the Bristol Gold Group. Does a fabulous job of bringing together all these strands in the gold world and relating them to the world of paper. And so anyway, so carry on, Trey.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay.
2 peas in a pod.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Blood brothers. Talk soon.
Talk to you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's a wrap on another discussion here on Wealthion. Thank you for joining us. If you need help being financially resilient, please head over to wealthion.com and sign up for a free no obligation portfolio review with one of our registered investment advisors. And remember to follow us on social media for the latest news and information to help you invest wisely. And if you could like and subscribe to the channel, we'd greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can find out when we post new videos to the channel. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, stay informed, be empowered, and may your investments flourish. And if you like this content, please watch this video next.